And welcome back, everybody, to the BaseLINE podcast. I am your host, BenLine Newman, and we are bringing you another great episode with another great guest. Now, last week we had Ncaa Tucker on, a West Michigan native, and this time we are going over to the east side of the state with current Rutgers forward Lasha Petree. Lasha, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Now, first off, Lasha, I just want to start off. You just wrapped up your first season at Rutgers. Talk about that season as a whole and what you enjoyed the most from that season and what you learned from that season as well.
I want to say being able to play basketball in the Big Ten and for Rutgers was such an honor initially. And it's still an honor, not just initially. But it was just a really big deal because it's something I've always dreamed of when I was a little kid playing at a high D1 level. And them giving me the chance to play and that opportunity was amazing. I think the biggest thing that I took away from this year was probably patience and listening. Those were the two things that my coaches they emphasized that throughout the season. It's very hard for me to listen sometimes because it's to a fault, but as season went on, to my teammates and my coaches, they both said that I've improved on it so much and it helped my game. And then patience wise on the court, I was a very go mentality. Like in the Big Ten, it's a lot different because you have to have the patience to completely wait for the screen and don't take something that you don't want. Don't let someone like the defense force you into somewhere or some space on the court that you don't want to be in. Be patient. If you don't like something, swing it. If you want something, wait for it. So I think that was the biggest learning lesson that I had this year.
Right, and now you mentioned it a little bit, but you did grow up in the Detroit area in Michigan, and I remember when you were at Bradley, we've had conversations about this in the past, but you actually grew up as a fan of Michigan State. Now playing for a Big Ten team, what is it like to be able to play in a conference that you were so familiar with growing up?
Yeah, I guess like I said before, it's always been a big dream of mine, and growing up because I was such a big fan of Michigan State. My dad is also a basketball trainer. So the reason I was such a big fan is because one of his clients that he trained played for Michigan State. And I just thought it was so cool. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so like, what? I was just a little fangirl in middle school. I was like, she walked in the gym and she had her Michigan State gear on. I was like I was in shock. It was really cool. And the fact that the Big Ten is based in the Midwest, and my family could come to more games this year. That was really cool, especially, the fact that they opened the fans back up from COVID, and the previous year we didn't have fans. That was such a big deal. To look over and at the Michigan game or the Ohio State game, like to see my family there, it was really cool.
We just briefly mentioned this, but this was your very first season at Rutgers after you transferred over from Bradley. You were a very big piece in that Bradley system. You took a little bit of a smaller role at Rutgers this season. What do you think that transition was like? Obviously, you mentioned you had to learn to listen a little bit more, but what do you think that transition was really like going from Bradley to Rutgers?
I think the biggest difference in, I guess, the level of basketball was attention to detail, and every possession was crucial at Bradley too. But here it's like, you're not going to win a game if you don't take care of that basketball. Like, it was different. And in crunch time at Bradley, the ball was in my hands. Like, I knew what to do, but this level, I had to learn. Some games it wasn't going to be me. Some games it was going to be me. But like everyone was good enough to have the ball in their hands at crunch time, and it was just kind of cool to play in that kind of dynamic where you had to trust your teammates completely. Like, they had the ball in your hand. I had to do my part, and like if it said come off the screen and I was the distraction play, go run to the corner while somebody else got the layup, I had to be like, okay, I got this. I'm gonna go do that, and they got to make the layup, and I got to go rebound. Like, it was really cool just to take on different roles on the team. It was a different experience, but I really liked it, and I think I started to thrive. It took me a while to adjust to it, but I started to, towards the end of the season, really figure out how to find myself within the system, and it ended up working out pretty good. So.
Definitely. I mean, you were definitely one of the key pieces to that Bradley team. I mean, I can't remember. I think it was your freshman or sophomore season. you had a Tracy McGrady moment where you had like 11 points in 13 seconds to win us the game. Like, I remember that moment specifically, and I remember just how great of a moment that was for sure.
Yeah, that was actually crazy. I still look back on that and I'm like, what? I think I was just watching the end of the game last week again, just to be like, what? It gets crazier to me as years go by. Cause like when the game ended, I was like, okay, we won. And then like a year later, I was like, oh my gosh, that was pretty sweet. And then now I'm looking at it, I'm like, how did I do that? Like every year that goes by, it becomes more and more like, whoa, that was actually like rare. Like I don't know where that came from.
Right. I mean, very few players can say that they've done that in their career. So, I mean, that was definitely a great moment, I'd say.
Yeah.
Now, as someone who's a part of the sports media, like we understand a little bit about how the transfer portal goes, but as someone like you who actually went through that process, walk me through what that process is really like going into the transfer portal.
It was so different. As soon as I entered, I think at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by like 10 o'clock, I probably had like 30 calls. It was insane. It was, I think the difference from high school recruitment and the transfer portal is you get everything right then and there. And then like as days go on, you get more teams, you get more teams looking at you. And in high school, it was just like over the years, you kind of like acquired all of this recruitment and then you built relationships with them. Like initially, I had to like say, no, like if a coach called me and I knew I didn't want to go there, you had to literally just be like, I don't think this is the fit for me right then and there on the phone call. They're like, okay, we're not what you're looking for. Uh, and they're like, I wish you well in your recruitment. And I'm like, that was really different. It was kind of stressful a little bit because I didn't have any idea where I was going to go at first. And I remember when I narrowed it down to my final like two or three, I still had no idea. Like I was just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then I finally, I had this long Zoom call with Rutgers, and they gave me a great pitch. And then I talked to my parents after. They were like, "We both want you to go to Rutgers. We feel like that's what's right for you." And I was like, "Yeah." And then probably within the next hour or two after the Zoom call, I committed. And it was like, it can be a really fast process if you want it to be, but it can be a really long process too. And you have to ask the right questions, have some kind of trust, and I really feel like this is the fit for me. So it was kind of different in that way.
We mentioned it earlier, but you grew up in Detroit, went to Ypsilanti High School, where your 2 years on varsity, you were actually able to make it to the final championship match. Going back to your life as a high school, as a high school athlete, what was that experience like to be able to play in those championship matches?
Oh my gosh. Um, High school was my coaches, Rod Wells and Stein, and Coach Stein. They were amazing high school. They were the best high school coaches you could ask for because they understood what it meant to play at the Division I level, and we practiced like it. Like sometimes even on weekends we would have 3-hour practices, and that was something that you wouldn't get out of just any high school. So he would have us do conditioning tests. No other high school did that. Like the previous high school I did, we didn't do any of that. But they prepared me so well for the season and my recruitment, and they were like emphasizing not only to me but anybody on the team that wanted to play at the next level. They knew what it took to get there, and we worked so hard for it all year. So when playoffs came, it was kind of like we won another game and we're like, this is what we're supposed to do. Like it was kind of like it felt right because of how much work we just put in for the previous season. And then once we got to the state championship game, it was like it was such a big deal. But I also remember both of those games. Oh, after those games, I was just like, no, like it hurt so much that I got there twice and wasn't able to pull out a win. But I remember in my senior year, we played against Detroit Edison, and they had actually one of the point guards from Michigan State on the team. They had Didi, and then they had Rakia Jackson. She just committed to Tennessee. We played against like top players, and it was a good game, but they they played well and they got it. I was like, dang it, that was my last one too. But it meant a lot for the program to get there 2 years in a row. That was such a big accomplishment, and I know my teammates really thought like it was a great experience.
Now, going back to your time, again, out of high school, I don't know how heavily you were recruited out of high school, but originally, what made you choose Bradley over other potential schools?
Initially it was Coach Gorski. My dad and Coach Gorski coached together at Concordia University, and I watched her completely turn a whole program around and win a championship in a matter of 4 years. Like, they were top dogs, and it was powerful. Like, the way that she developed her players and believed in them. I remember watching that, and I knew that Bradley didn't have a winning record coming into it, but I knew if she was the coach, like, we were gonna win. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to win games in college, and she believed in me, and she wanted me, she pushed for me. And I really went to Bradley because of her. I went on the visit, and I loved the school too and everything, but it was the fact that I knew that I wanted to win, and she knew how to win, and I felt like that was all we needed. And we ended up making a lot of history there. So I'm glad I made that decision. That was
Absolutely. I mean, your career at Bradley spanned from 2018 to 2021. I mean, your 3 seasons there, you made a lot of noise at Bradley. I mean, 2-time first team All MVC, 2-time All defensive MVC freshman, MVC sixth player. I mean, you even in only 3 years you finished in the top 10 in career points, 3-pointers, and blocks. Talk about your time at Bradley more specifically and how you think it helped you grow as a player.
Oh my gosh. I grew in a lot of ways at Bradley. Coach Gorski wasn't only teaching me how to be a better basketball player on the court, but she was also teaching me how to be a leader right from freshman year, how to be a better teammate right from freshman year. She taught me, well, we had a lot of great leaders on that team. Gabby Hawk, Chelsea Brockman. Oh my gosh, Chelsea Brockman is the best leader I think I've ever been on a team with. I don't understand how she did what she did, but the team, when she left and I played my junior year, we felt it. Like, we knew that Chelsea was not there. She wasn't on the floor. She wasn't in practice. And that was kind of my time to actually step up and be what the team needed. But I learned a lot from her, and I kind of tried to mold who I wanted to be as a leader after her. Like, she was a really good role model for me. And Coach G, she knew that too. She built Chelsea too. Like, she helped her through so much. Coach G, she made not only better basketball players, but better leaders, better people, better teammates. And the culture that she created at that university was amazing. And that's why we won games. She made us be a team and dig deep and, I don't know, learn how to win together, because we couldn't do it on our own. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really sad. I mean, she just recently retired from coaching. It seems like she really helped you develop in your growth as a basketball player for sure.
Yeah. I actually just talked to her right after she retired. And I also expressed like how much she meant to me, how much the game is gonna miss her. The MVC won't be the same without her. Like, she's an amazing coach, and she did a lot for Bradley. Bradley's never gonna forget her. I know that much. Well, you could kind of say she was the best coach there, huh? She's the only one with the MVC championship. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back, you did mention that team really created a lot of history. I mean, like you said, first time ever winning the MVC and first time ever punching your guys' ticket in March Madness in program history. Which leads me to my next question. How different is it playing in the regular season compared to such a big stage like March Madness?
Oh, it's completely, everything's bigger. Even the lights are bigger. The fans. It was so different. I've never been a part of something like the Ncaa tournament. So when I got to experience that, well, it was a little different because we had to get there a week early, or a week and a half early because of COVID and stuff. So it was a different experience than normal, but you still felt the depth of, we were a part of like the top teams in the nation, and we were all competing for one championship, and you felt the gratitude of that. I had a little bit of anxiety before the game, and I was like freaking out. But then once I got on the court, I saw how the game was going, and I kind of just was like, okay, my teammates need me. It's time to go. We didn't end up winning the game, but honestly, it's an experience of a lifetime. And next year, I hope to get back there. Oh, that's the goal, to get back to the NCAA tournament, because it's a feeling like no other.
You guys definitely had a very hard first round matchup. I mean, you had to play Texas. You had to play the eventual #1 pick in the WNBA draft. I mean, definitely crazy competition to be able to have to face.
Yeah, and that was pretty big too. I've never stepped on the court with players like that. Like, she was the #1 draft pick, 6'5". We tried everything we could to double her, to stop her from getting something, and nah, she had 23 and 15 on us. It's
Yeah.
like,
#1 pick for a reason, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And it was a calm 23 and 15. Like, she wasn't even loud with it. I looked up, I'm like, when did she get 23 points? Yeah, it was kind of cool to play against players like that. And they're such a good team. It was kind of cool to go up against them. And, we were only down by 10 at one point. And I was like, bro, we're in this. Like, come on, let's go. It was just really cool. It was a cool atmosphere, and it was cool to compete against players like that. So.
Oh, definitely. Now, you've been able to play with your sister Mari throughout your entire career, going back to your time at Ypsilanti and even your time at Bradley. Obviously, it's a little bit different now. You're playing at Rutgers. She's playing at UTEP down in Texas. Besides the times that you were on different teams due to like age difference, this is really the first time that you guys truly have been on different teams. What has it been like to be able to share your career alongside your sister for so many years?
Oh my gosh. I dedicate the player that I am to her. She mellowed me out. She knew when I was going to shoot the ball. She knew when I was going to pass. She knew me so well. And she also woke me up a lot. Like, when I had games and I was in the game and I wasn't playing how I should be playing, and they needed me to win the game, they needed me at my best to be able to win that game. She would wake me up. She would talk to me. She'd be like, come on, Lasha, like, focus, lock up. Like, she was my rock. She was, oh my gosh. And she's such a great leader. Her words were so inspiring. And sometimes I would look to her and I'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, that's my little sister. Oh my God. Yeah. It was really cool to be able to play alongside her as long as I did. Because I know a lot of sisters don't get that experience, especially at the college level, especially D1. Like, it's a rare thing. And it was really beautiful for how long it lasted. I wish and I hope that at least one day we get to play one more time on the same team. But I definitely cherish the moments that we had together. We learned so much from each other, and she's such a great teammate.
Also, we just mentioned that you and your sister have both had very good basketball careers thus far. You mentioned that your dad is an athletic trainer. But what do you think really made you guys such a big basketball family?
My dad, yeah. I'm pretty sure he put basketballs in my crib when I was, not even able to walk yet. So he kind of told us, you guys have a choice. You guys can play whatever sports you want. But there was always a basketball around the corner. He was always bringing us to the gym. We always went to basketball games. He always put the basketball in the crib. Here, dribble this. Like, he pushed for basketball, but he was always like, you have a choice. Because initially, I was on different dance teams. I did gymnastics for 3 years. I love gymnastics. I was like, I want to go to the Olympics for gymnastics. And my dad was like, do you really want to do that? And then I started growing a little bit, and he was like, you might want to choose a different sport. And I was really just naturally really good at basketball. And I was just like, okay, I'll choose basketball. And it was the best decision I made, obviously. Looking back, I don't know if I really had a choice, but yeah, he definitely is the reason. We were around it. It was a part of his life. It was a part of our lives. It was just, we were a basketball family. My little brother is actually playing, and he's a freshman on varsity in high school at Plymouth University. He's playing so well. He played so well his first season. I'm super proud of him. So
That's awesome. Now, growing up, who were some of your favorite basketball players to watch, whether that be NBA or WNBA?
Diana Taurasi. Oh my gosh. And I just okay, so Sue Bird is retiring, and I was so sad because I'm like, Sue, you couldn't have lasted one more year. I wanted to play in the league with her so bad. Diana she didn't announce a retirement yet. So I still got a chance to maybe play against her and stuff on the court. Oh my gosh. Diana Taurasi is my, I just, yeah, she's it for me. Like she's who I look up to. I watch her so much. Her and, I mean, of course, Brianna Stewart, because who can guard her? No one. Brianna Stewart is different. She's just, I don't know. I've never seen anything like her. There's no way you're 6'7" and a guard as a what? What? Yeah, they're both pretty. It would be really cool if I could ever just meet or have a conversation with Diana Taurasi. That's my girl. And Sue Bird too, obviously, but she couldn't have lasted one more year. Men's wise, I would have to say Klay Thompson I really like, and I watch Kyrie Irving all the time. Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, even though sometimes I'm like, dang it, James, why is he making we all have those games where we're watching James Harden, we're like, what are you doing? But overall, yeah, I love those players a lot.
Now, obviously, we've mentioned it a few times so far in this episode, but you grew up in Detroit. With the success that you've built for yourself in your career, what does it mean to be able to represent the Detroit area as well as just the state of Michigan as a whole?
Oh, it's such an honor. And I represent it proudly, so proudly. Where are you from? Detroit, Michigan. Like every time. I love the community down there, especially my AAU coach. Yeah, for the Storm, he built such a great community around basketball and for all the girls down there. His number one goal is to get girl scholarships. That's all he wants. Get girl scholarships. Get these girls in front of coaches because these girls can play. So he gives them the platform for them to be able to show their talents and get scholarships. And he's gotten, oh my God, he's been successful so much for so many girls. He's changed the lives of so many people and given everyone's like such great opportunities. Jeff Taylor's listening, by the way. But yeah, I love Detroit and I love that area. I love Michigan in general because obviously I've been around a lot. I've played in Canton, I've played in Ypsi, I've played in Detroit. It's I love Michigan and the community that the especially the Storm program is building for young girls to play basketball. The platform is really cool.
What are some goals that you and the team want to accomplish for this coming season?
Obviously, the first goal is to win games. But I feel like that's also not enough because we're good enough to, I know it's going to be a huge, like there's going to be a huge difference in what kind of team we're having from this year to next year. Obviously, we're losing Ash Brown, Vicky Morris, Jalen Mason, Shug Dixon. Like it's going to be a really different look on the floor. But one thing that stays for sure is the system that Rutgers and Vivian Stringer has implemented into how we play basketball. And I feel like there was a lot to learn in 1 year this year. And that's why you've seen so much up and downs throughout the season because it's not something that people have to learn in 1 year and only have 1 year to do it and have to apply it. So I think that with the system and us learning it faster next year, winning games is going to be something that's going to happen. And then I want to take it a step. I want to get to the NCAA tournament. I want to win a Big Ten championship. I want to be able to turn the program around and, well, not turn the program around, but just be better than last year and win. And I think we have that potential because of Coach Stringer's system. So
that's great. Now, lastly, Lasha, for you specifically, what would you say is your ultimate goal in your playing career? What does Lasha Petree want to accomplish in her career?
I definitely want to go on to the next level and play, whether that be overseas or in the WNBA. I would love to I would play both, honestly. I want to play basketball as long as I can, and I want to have fun while I'm doing it too. I think the moment you stop having fun with it, you got to be done with it. But which isn't always true, because sometimes this isn't fun. But I love it regardless of the ups and downs. I guess no relationship is pure fun. So, yeah, I definitely want to be a professional. That's the goal after next year.
That's great. Well, Lasha, thank you so much for coming on, and good luck for your last season at Rutgers.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today, guys. Thank you again so much to Lasha for coming on. Be sure to check her out at Rutgers for her last season for the 2022-2023 season, where she really hopes to win a Big Ten championship for the Scarlet Knights. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please subscribe, please comment, and please share with your friends as well. I have loved the progress that we have made in this podcast thus far, and I can't wait to continue to grow and get better every single day for you guys. Thank you guys once again for watching. My name is BaseLINE Newman. You have been watching the BaseLINE podcast, and I'll talk to you guys next time.